Fort Jesus Warriors Club. Arise and shine. This is an interesting topic. It talks about one arising and shining. I'm going to talk about this topic in the context of what is written in the Bible about the siege of Samaria. The city of Samaria was under siege. This is the same city where Jesus met the woman at the well. When it was under siege from the enemy, because they tried to attack the city, they could not be able to enter the city. The soldiers at the walls were shooting arrows at them. They could not ram in the walls and they could not ram in the gate. So they decided that since the city had a well, but it did not have enough time to keep more food, they would surround the city, lay siege to the city, until the people in the city finished their supply of food, and then with hunger and everything, they'll be able to invade the city, losing a minimal number of soldiers, if any, and take over the city. So they laid siege to the city. And after some days, the city supplies ran low. So they started looking for alternative foods. The droppings of a dove became a delicacy, could be sold of some little amount of money. They slaughtered even the donkeys, now the animal of burden, because they had exhausted the cows and everything. And there was even the price of a donkey's head named in the Bible. And as they were going through these difficulties, some two prostitutes who were in the city decided on a thing that had not happened in the country, the town of Samaria before. They decided that they will slaughter their children and eat their children. So they slaughtered the child of the first prostitute and ate the child. After some time, they had exhausted the supply of the meat of the child and hunger had set in. So the second prostitute said, now, when we finish the remaining child eating, what will be our next alternative? But the other prostitute said, now there's no child. She had eaten the child. So they started arguing on the city wall. They had a scuffle. And the king, who was passing under that place, because he would move around the city seeing how things were faring on under siege, had this argument. And he tore his clothes because it was an abomination, as a way of remorse. After that, he summoned the prophet Elisha. Elisha had the same, double power to Elijah. And when the prophet came, he told the king, I've heard whatever you've said. It is an abomination. But the good God in heaven is going to send you a solution. Tomorrow at such a time, there will be so much food in the city that it will be sold at the least amount of money, and much of it will be free. And the guard at the gates heard it and laughed. He told the prophet, even if there were no enemies outside and the city walls, the city doors were open, it would take a very long time before the amount of food you're talking about would be in the city. So why lie to the king? This is an impossible thing. And the prophet of God answered, tomorrow at such a time, it shall occur. You will see it, but you don't even taste a morsel. And many of the lepers had been thrown out because lepers were considered to be useless people at that time. Nobody wanted them in the community, so they didn't mind whether the enemies killed them. And the enemies saw no reason of killing lepers, so they never advanced to attack them. They had exhausted the little supplies of food they had left the city with, and they were hungry. So they decided that instead of dying, they would go to the enemy's camp. And when they started marching towards the enemy's camp, their footsteps were multiplied, and it sounded like an invading army. So the enemy fled. When they entered the camp, there was nobody. They went to the first tent. Those who had prepared food to eat had left it that way, so they ate the food. To their fill, they got satisfied. They went through all the tents and found that things had been abandoned in that manner. So they decided to come back to the city and inform the people in the city of what had happened. And people in the city at first doubted, they thought it was a trap. So they asked a few of the people to follow the route that the lepers had told them, and when they went, they found that what the lepers had told them was true. So they came back, and everybody in the city went in a frenzy to the camps of the enemy. They took the food, they took the clothing they had left, all the ornaments and everything. And food was very cheap. And the guard at the door died. Because what happened when people started collecting this food and everybody was in a frenzy to buy, he was standing by the gate and people trampled on him because of that rush, and he died. He saw the food, he never ate it. So, what followed was that there was enough in the city. The prophecy of the prophet of God had been fulfilled, and the city was able now to take a different stand from there. They had a good supply of food. They prepared their defenses. They prepared everything, and now they had things they had to start all over again. I'm talking about this in the context of us. Since the time of the second president, and then the first voting for the third president, the first voting, every other vote has been called as a rigged vote. People will start and then start an electoral commission, and within the same breath say, it is not fair, this and this has happened. But those successive electoral commissions have laid a standard for us so that now we can be able to do things democratically. Problem with us is we do a lot of complaining. When people are told to go out and demonstrate and refuse whatever is happening, we all rush there. When an opportunity to express ourselves with the powers that we have as the citizens of this country comes, we don't take interest, we shy away. I remember we were talking of the Electoral Commission. There was a time when it was vacant, and then an independent Electoral Commission was elected through the normal procedure, ratified through the legal system, and it started functioning this year. Was it last year? Last year, towards the end. I'm not saying I'd overstepped the time we had interviewed the present Electoral Commission. There was one who had been in the process, but his retirement time had not come. That is not a commissioner, because it's the commissioners who run the commission. Know that. It is the commissioners who run the commission. There are a number of them. It's not only one. One is elected as a head, but he is almost at equal basis with the other commissions. So, they are commissions. They are there intact. New. None, you will say, has been there, has been tainted in any manner. There was one who was holding a high position, and due to persistence, orders and whatever, people did not want him. They were saying that maybe he's carrying what was in the past systems, and he may infect the new system with it. He did not argue much. He told them, if that is all you wish for, I'll not even wait for the time, because I've been doing things the right way. I'll not wait for the time to come when the retirement has to come. I'm retiring myself. And he retired and left. So on the face of it, it's a completely new, independent, boundaries Electoral Commission. They have only conducted one by-election. And in the by-election, there was propaganda and there was everything. But if you ask me, I'll tell you they scored over 90%. Why? And people have been complaining. Those who are complaining, some of them know they will have liked to do gerrymandering. It's not easy with these ones. These ones are totally independent. You've had suggestions like, now how do we assist you so that you are able to do this? We want you to do this. And they have categorically told people, we are independent. We want something, we shall approach the necessary authorities. But nobody is going to enter or to try and manipulate us. That has been their stand. And I would like to talk about the past by-election. These are my views. They're not Kenyans' views. I may be wrong. But I'll tell you what I think, even if it's wrong. In this by-election, they were just new in office. They carried the electronic identification kits. They came with the registers. They came with the ballot papers and the ballot boxes. The agents counted everything and saw everything was in order, and there was no stuffing, there was nothing. The election time came and they carried out the election up to the end. So it means nothing new was introduced into the voting room. And with the material they had, they read the results, which is the procedure. The person doing that, conducting the elections, cannot be able to alter anything. What you put in is what they read as the final results. And that's why it said, once the results are out, take any complaints to court. Because that's what has happened before everybody. You there in an open room, people have voted, they have counted, and those are the votes. Those are the final results. There's no other place anybody is going to get any other vote. What has been counted, that is the number. That is final. And so they did so. But there were allegations that from reliable sources it had been said that some people had organized with others and they were stuffing ballot boxes elsewhere, and the election had been won on that basis. None went to court. None produced the evidence. Those votes tallied were equal to the voting, the votes that had been put there before the election time. So if there was stuffing of ballot boxes elsewhere, they never reached the voting room. Nobody produced. So that's why I say there were allegations. And during elections, anybody who feels they are losing, they'll come up with allegations. It's the whole world over, not even here alone. So me, according to my judgment, they performed everything in the order it's supposed to be performed. I would have given them 100%, but because of a few things here and there, and human beings are human beings, we cannot be 100%, but they scored 90 and above. Now, we complained, nobody went to court. Has anybody gone to court up to now? Nobody produced evidence, because that's a procedure. We cannot now talk of an independent and boundaries electoral commission, because it is independent and it is in place and it is new. They have given us an opportunity that they're supposed to do. They're doing it very well, to register. This NICO card initiative, for those who were in stations that were far, you can be able to transfer your votes. I went there and it took me about, was it 15 minutes? I went with my ID first, and then all they did was to go into that computer and it shows the station I was registered in the former town Nakuru, and it was moved to Bungoma, Mpeli. That will be my voting station. 15 minutes. But there are other open places for people to register. So those who have not registered, let's register. Because this has been our habit as Kenyans. When everything happens, we crowd up and move to the streets. Nothing is happening. When we are told to make the changes, like now, when people are registering, very few appear to register. You know, the only way you can make changes is through the vote. And the only way you can make changes is to make sure the one winning or the ones winning have got a very large margin with the ones following. So there's no dispute. There's no doubt of who the winners are. This can only be done if you register in large numbers to be voters. An opportunity has arisen. Those youths who have IDs or just acquired the IDs recently, take this opportunity. go and register. Go early register. Kuwa kadi. Niko kadi. So that when that time comes, you talk with your vote and determine the issues the way you want democratically. So that the people you feel are hard workers or will drive the destiny of this country to where you want to be are in place. And those you don't like are voted out. It is your personal decision. You will go to that place alone. You will vote alone. You will make your choice according to what you wish. Those are people who just facilitate the process. Like they are facilitating the registration. So if you fail in the registration, you don't turn up, then don't expect magical figures to appear during elections, because where will they come from? It is the people who have registered, who are recognized, who have got IDs that will vote. So take this opportunity, register. The people in the city that was besieged, when they were told the enemies are out, they took the initiative. They looked for baskets, they looked for everything. They rushed out and carried what was there. They could no longer starve. We've been crying for a long time. Others say things are not fair. We don't want this representative. An opportunity has arisen. Take what you are supposed to take, so that when that time comes, you are able to use your voice, use your card, use your vote, and ensure that things are in place. When I talk of card, I don't mean a physical card, because even an electronic card, your registration identification, we have moved technologically. Card does not mean a piece of paper. Card does not mean something like an ATM that you will. It means an identification database. Uko kadi. Like when I went, I did not carry any cards. In fact, when I left Nakuru, in my videos I've told you how I left. I never even knew where it was. But electronically, nilikuwa kadi huko. I was carded there. So electronically, when they did that, they found every detail of mine. And they have transferred it from Nakuru to Bungoma. Niko kadi. You will own, in most cases, we just need our ID for identification and our fingerprints. Uko kadi. So, it is my humble request to fellow Kenyans that we don't lose such opportunities to come out en masse, register. If you are transferring, transfer. And don't only leave it at that. Because some people go during elections and you find long queues and you say, I'll go back home, the others will vote for me. That is when you give a chance to that person you did not want to get in. So, failure to vote is also a vote against your choice. Because if you vote in your choice, the other person who would have outwitted you without that vote cannot. So, physically, you will fail to vote. But you have not failed to vote. You have allowed the one you did not want to come in because you would have spoken. But you did not speak. And when now you've lost, you get out in the street and start shouting, those who are there are not the ones we wanted. You had an opportunity. Right now we are headed towards that, we've not reached there. just like the people in Samaria when it was besieged, and realized that now it was not besieged. The gates were open. Now you cannot say that we are going to hold whatever thing, if they were on about the old electoral commissions, on these ones they are new. So the gates are open. It is our initiative to register, to transfer, to do everything in order. And on that day that voting will be there, ensure that we get there and actually vote, so that somebody we don't want does not come in because we did not vote. By virtue of not voting means you have voted against your choice. It's as simple as that. Actually, you've done yourself in. So, like the city of Samaria still, we've done things financially, gerrymandering, and many other things against one another. We have used finances, we have used whatever we have done so many things against one another. But remember, when the gates opened, even those who had eaten one another's child forgot. Everybody got the baskets, got whatever, and rushed to where the food is. So there may have been differing opinions politically. I'm not saying I'm aligned to which. I'm not saying I'll vote who, because I'm also still observing. But I'm saying we should have a peaceful election. And this is a time to observe who is working, who is not working. Are you getting a raw deal, or are you getting the deal you wanted? This is the time you have to watch. And on that basis, you'll be able to make a proper choice that will benefit you, so that you don't vote 3 months down the line, you are on the road demonstrating again. Let's seize this opportunity. Register en masse. Even those who cannot be able to reach there, if you have got the opportunities to do that, move them to the place to register or do this transferring. It's taking a very short time. And when the time to vote comes, like people in Western, tunasemanga tunapendanga kati sa salamu. Utatuma salamu zako. You will send your greetings to the one you love. This is the one I want. You will have a card, a voter's card. You will have salamu card, greeting card for those that you want in place. Let's go and register. That's my appeal. So for those who have not done. If you have to transfer, transfer. If you have not confirmed, confirm that you are there. And then now, wait for an opportune time so that you will talk with your vote. Because there are people who make a lot of noise and they never even get to the voting place. So that is all hot air. Ensure, once you have got this thing, you will utilize it during that time. So that you make sure the ones you want get in with a higher margin than the ones you don't want. And do not be afraid to contest if you are in a position, because there are parties and there are independent parties. If you feel no party is giving you what you want, or you feel they are blocking you advancing and you may be the right choice, go independent. Even during last elections, there are people who entered through independent voting. They did not belong to any party. They registered independently and they got into parliament, they got into Senate. So it is open to you. Constitutionally, you must not be tied to a party. But if you feel certain parties are good and many of you can get into them and move with parties, fine. That's constitutional. But if you feel you can offer a good deal and you are being blocked because parties don't want to embrace you. Why not present yourself? Present yourself. Let the people decide. I have not seen anything I can complain about the present Electoral Commission. Let's give them a chance, God willing, to take us through the process. We shall conclude after we have seen what they have done and the nature and the way of things they would have done. I'm very grateful. Today I took 15 minutes. I thought I would take a very long time. And everything was over. Niko kadi. Nawe uko kadi. That is my take for today.